Alright, so I just wanted to document sort of an insight on, relationships. And, one of the fine points that I've sort of learned somewhat more recently. And it's like, it's like when you make a mistake, and you take accountability for it and you say, yes, I did this, or, okay, I did this. Can you tell me more about your feelings about, what it is that I did wrong, so that I understand exactly, what you're not, not only what it is that I can do to make it better, but what is your point of view about it? What is it that you're thinking? How is your thinking work? And what is your, because I need to understand your value system. So, if it's just you telling me I did something wrong and you're not really disclosing fully how you feel about it and why it's wrong, then, and it sort of leaves me, or the person who did something wrong, quote unquote, sort of leaves them guessing to okay, I guess I have to figure this out on my own, or because they're not being very clear or direct with me. They just keep bringing it up, oh, you did all this, and I don't I don't feel good about you, and I don't like what you did, and you got to do something to prove that you're a good person. And then it's okay, well, let's talk about what I did. Let's find out if there is something that I can do to make it better. Let's, if I did something that I did once, but, I don't have any intention of doing it again because it was a mistake, an error in judgment, but you're still holding on to it as if I would do it again, then, what is the point of that? It's is the point here really to come to a resolution, or is the point to continually hold something over my head to remind me that I am the bad person in the relationship that needs to be fixed, but you're not going to be emotionally open with me, and you're not really going to disclose where you're coming from fully, and I can never really settle down because I always feel you're not settled on this, and it seems it keeps being brought up, and it's I've already feel I've acknowledged that I was incorrect, but now it's it keeps being brought up as some kind of leverage, it feels to keep me in a place of insecurity of and then constantly having to play up to you, and I can never really fully recover. It seems the purpose is to never I'm never really fully allowed to have a good feeling about myself anymore, and I'm not supposed to have self-esteem in this relationship. And then the other part is when a person treats me like that, I sort of, it's not okay, let's talk about it. And if you feel I've did something to you that you really feel is wrong, and you feel I'm a bad person, let's talk about that. Let's find out if that is how you feel, and then if it's true that that's the way you feel and you don't want to move forward, that's okay. It doesn't necessarily mean that I'm a bad person or that you're wrong. It's just that you feel uncomfortable in this relationship now, and maybe we've reached a point where, we both have to separate because you no longer feel secure with me, and you kind of can't let this go. And, in order to move forward and to feel comfortable with each other, we do at some point have to come to a resolution. And so it's like for me, it's not a problem to, end a relationship with someone who feels like they don't feel comfortable with me, because I don't want to be around somebody who doesn't feel comfortable with me. It's like, yes, I will feel, miss them, and I will feel, regrets, and, and I'll probably think about, well, like what are the things that I could have done better. But ultimately, it is better to, part ways when, something happened and we can't move forward from it. And, it's like, I'm the kind of person who always wants to talk about, what happened, how did it make us feel, what can we do to make it better, and how can we move forward. I don't like just like having to continually be dragged through the mud of someone's insecurity that they just cannot come to a resolution of, like, okay, I feel safe again. And it's not like one person is responsible for the other person's feeling of safety in a relationship. At a certain point, you have to kind of like be responsible for your, like, I'm an individual person, and my sense of security and sense of self and sense, of comfort, ultimately it does not come from you, it comes from me. It comes from within. And so I don't rely so much on this other person that I'm like constantly in an insecure place, like trying to depend on them for my self-esteem and my sense of well-being. And if something is wrong in the relationship, it doesn't, it's not like I have to rely on this other person to make me feel better. Sometimes, we kind of have to be okay enough in ourselves to feel better within ourselves, but anyhow, so I thought this was some things on my mind that I wanted to express and sort of kind of document and put them in the video form, because it's something, I've been working through these different things in my mind, and I like hearing it out loud, kind of recording these videos and then watching them back and seeing what is it that I sound like, and to get a better sense of myself as a person. Anyhow, have a good one.